Here are my thoughts on Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl paints. Thank you to Monument Hobbies for sending me their base set. The packaging was clean and contained 24 paints. Also, I appreciate the "Don't Eat Paint" sign they included. The bottles are very easy to read, seem well made, and contain an agitator. They also have a ton of paint in them, a whopping 22 milliliters of paint. In comparison, other popular brands have 12 or 18. It definitely feels like you're getting your money's worth of paint with these. The caps twist open to allow paint to flow out the top, and then, once you're done, you can twist the cap back down to seal it with no chance of losing the cap. It's a really unique idea for paints, and the paint flows out smoothly, stopping and starting as you would want. As a tip, I suggest wiping the top off after you use it to avoid having to peel off dried paint before using it again, or accidentally touching a wet cap when reaching for another paint. They have alternative caps on the site in case you want a different style cap. Everything I've painted for this review was zenithal highlighted using dark neutral gray, then sprayed from above with white, and undersprayed from below with red. The main model I used to test the paints is Robin Hood from Warp Miniatures. Get it? Robin Hood. He's a Robin Hood. It was kindly sent to me from Only Games, which is a 3D printing company that prints and sells physical minis from various model makers. Very handy in the freezing winter months for those of us who print in the garage. I'm very impressed by the quality. They even threw in some extra goodies. Link and discount code in the description. I thought this little red Robin Hood would be a great test since he should be colorful and has lots of sharp details on him. Like I said, the paint comes out of the bottle smooth and thins easily with water. They're very highly pigmented, so to glaze I had to get used to thinning them slightly more than normal. Testing new paint sort of feels like trying to cook at someone else's house. It takes some time to get oriented and figure out how to turn the oven on. The more I used the paints, the more I got used to them, until it felt like home. It's useful painting on the back of your finger to test the consistency. I also tested thinning them with paint thinner, and that worked very well. They mixed like paints should mix, thinned like paints should thin, and covered very well. I wanted to tint his hood that classic Robin Hood green, and I was able to with the green glaze. It's always a good sign when the paints do what you want them to do and you don't feel held back. The paints were very vibrant and came off the brush smoothly when I got the consistency right. A downside I experienced is the paints separate on the wet palette pretty quickly, so you'll need to mix them on the wet palette every once in a while. The black and white were very good too. I had enough control to paint some pretty detailed eyes. I'm pretty proud of how fine the dot highlight was. The finished model came out vibrant and has a nice matte finish. I thought another good test for the paints was painting skin. These minis are some Darktide kit bashes I did with Station Forge models. I followed the classic skin recipe of glazing, then washing, then highlighting. The paints held up to a wash and were able to fully cover where they were needed. I was able to create 2 different skin tones with the paints in the starter set, which is great. This is probably the best looking skin I've been able to paint, So, for a first test, that's a pretty great sign. To test how well the paints go through an airbrush, we'll be painting this cave lurker from Dutch Mogul. I used a few drops of Vallejo airbrush thinner and a few drops of paint. I'm no airbrushing expert, but these thinned very well, didn't clog, and I felt like I had pretty great control. I normally like just using dedicated airbrush paints or inks, but if you have a color you really like and want to use, it isn't a problem. I was able to create smooth blends very easily, and I may actually do this more since it was so easy. This is what the model looks like after only airbrushing. Here are some models I painted using the set. These are going to stay on the old paint rack for sure. Some standout colors to me were red, mahogany, and ivory. Thanks for watching, and thanks again to Monument Hobbies for sending me the base set to test out. If you want to pick some up for yourself, use the link in the description and code iPaintSmallThings for some money off. Help me help you. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe. Check out my affiliate links to get some stuff, save money, and support the channel. I'd also love it if you bought me a coffee. Thank you! Alright, bye-bye!